if you just factor in today's games so far, those 3 games we saw, and you factor in the performance over Swiss, Hunter in Americas is a great break. Over 65% win rate right now in climbing. So Nalguidan, he's got that Hunter in his lineup. He's going up against Eddie. Is that going to perhaps be a curveball? Or, maybe Highlander Hunter just overperformed and there's just variance and eventually it'll just have the poorer side of draws. But after watching the way this deck list has been outfitted, TJ, it's very likely you're going to have a curve with this Hunter deck, which is why I like it. And I feel like perhaps people are underestimating it. And the data kind of backs it up, too. It doesn't really have too many poor matchups, and it is a high-performing deck right now, based off the balance patch that happened on 420.
Yeah, and Hunter, like you said, we saw Hunter yesterday. It did not perform well, but it was a different kind of Hunter. It was a Dragon Hunter with the Stone Dust Boar. So hard to lump it in with the same category.
Sure.
But looking across the board, Hunter's worst matchups are Demon Hunter, Warrior, and Rogue. So Eddie has the Warrior, but not Demon Hunter or Warrior.
Right.
Well, he did have Demon Hunter or Demon Hunter Rogue. He did have Demon Hunter, but it was banned away. So Spell Druid has been decent against Hunter overall. There's a pretty small sample size, 50% win rate. It actually wasn't played. They only played once. Hunter versus Druid only happened once across all of America's Swiss this week, and the Druid won. So, but overall, it's a 50% across all 3 regions. So it's the jury's still out on that one. Hard to tell if it's a good matchup or not. We don't have enough sample size, but Warrior should be good. And other than that, he might struggle with the Priest, which seems like Hunter's best matchup or near its best matchup. That combined with Mage, I would say, are its best matchups.
Well, the Americas seems to be particularly vulnerable to Hunter relative to other people, but we're going to put a pin in that discussion for now. Now we're going to turn to his Highlander Mage, featuring, of course, these Highlander cards, Reno the Rail Ecologist, Zephyrus, as well as Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron, which is quickly becoming, in my tier list, one of the most powerful cards in the metagame, just period.
Yeah.
I feel like it might even be the 2nd or 3rd most important card in this deck. I think, when you look at Highlander Mage, you could pinpoint a couple of key MVPs, Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and Reno being like the holy trinity, so to speak, but perhaps Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron can make it a core 4, as those 4 cards I feel like are game deciding a lot of times with this deck. Puzzle Box is not to be messed with. Eddie has, of course, the No Hands Warrior, the Egg Warrior, Temple Warrior, some people even call it, but it's got some bombs mixed into it, and that's kind of what makes it tricky. Right now, the data on publicly available sites like HS Replay and Vicious Syndicate, I feel like it's largely convoluted because there's so much blend with how you can build Warrior, and it's almost like hybrids of a couple of archetypes smashed into one. Do you want to play Bomb Pirate Warrior? Do you want to play Egg Pirate Warrior? Do you want to play Bomb Control Warrior? I don't know. It's really interesting right now with the way Warrior class is, and I love it. It almost reminds me of the Whispers of the Old Gods meta, where there's like 4 or 5 different viable Warrior builds, and it was really cool to just see Warrior succeed. Fibonacci also has recently broke top 10 legend again, so you definitely know Warrior's good in the metagame.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Fibonacci with Control Warrior, because he plays so many games and is so practiced on Warrior and finding the right list, he gets top 10 on like every metagame, even when Warrior's not good.
Okay, fair enough. Let me correct myself then. Fibonacci is top 10 legend. You know Warrior is really fun to play because he's very outspoken about the state of Warrior, and he kind of looks at cards before an expansion, says, you know what, I'm not sure if I'm going to push for like a top legend finish this season based off of like what I see, because it's largely predicated on how successful and dynamic and fun he thinks Warrior will be, and once more he's back. So it feels like Warrior's a great class to pick up again if you're a fan of it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And it seems to be based off the Risky Skipper plus Battle Rage kind of package. But we're going to get into this next game, and One other thing that I noticed as we were waiting is for the previous match, Bloodyface beat PNC 3-1 in the Swiss portion of the event. And also Eddie beat Nalguidan in the Swiss as well. Those were the only times they faced.
The reversal.
Yeah, reversal. That's a pretty big deal, and probably why we saw Bloodyface so emotive.
He's like, what happened?
In
Last
that
time
last
I
series.
beat him.
Yeah. So I don't know. Weird. And this one, if that goes the same way, oh geez. Okay. Their names are swapped, but then Eddie should have the advantage in this one, considering the Swiss performance. But it was close. It was 3-2 with Eddie versus Nalguidan, so it could go either way. Just kind of like we were saying at the very beginning.
Yeah. Also worth noting, by the way, that PNC, the only player that has played all 3 of the players that he's in his group, is today. So again, shout out to Lorinda, who's been doing a diligent job keeping track of the statistics, and of course feeding it to us so that we look smart. But I can't fix what's broke.
Yeah, and the only person he beat out of those 3 players was Nalguidan. His
practice partner has the same lineup as him.
Yeah, so it's just he beat the mirror matchup.
Interesting.
So if you look at like the way things panned out in Swiss, it should be Bloodyface and Eddie being the ones moving on from this group based off of how they performed against each other's lineups throughout the Swiss. Because Eddie also beat PNC 3-1. So
wow, what a draw from Nalguidan. Eddie coins out Injured Tolvir, which usually means one thing with this deck and one thing only, which is that they're going to rampage and start slamming it down. And Nalguidan, with no answer for multiple turns, rips the Frostbolt. That was huge.
Oh yeah, let's giddy up.
Yeah.
Rampage.
Anyways,
That's a 5/5 egg.
As we were talking about, we wanted to get 5 attack minion pressuring the mage. So, now get on 1 draw off from potentially add more of that board tension.
Dan, why stop at 5?
Let's go to 8.
Let's just keep going. Well, there's one thing that we have to double check. Yep, there is no polymorph. Oh my gosh, that is just oof. Mwah, finger kiss.
Right. I mean, this was kind of the pan out that I was sort of expecting more of from Bloodyface, but Bloodyface has more of a traditional mid-range approach where he kind of like has solid minions to play, but he doesn't have as many board response stuff. Versus the No Hands Warrior is way more dynamic. Sometimes it plays completely control style or combo oriented, or it just kind of curves as well.
Yeah. This is the style that I like because I just like to have minions to play, right? Bloodyface doesn't play Egg or Tolvir, nothing on 2, except for Armor Smith, which is situational. I like to just play a minion, force them to respond, but still have all the combo stuff. So that's exactly what Eddie's doing. I mean, he's just kind of hitting him. Bomb shuffled in. He's got Blastmaster Boom loaded up. Nalguidan's already down to 15.
Yeah, he does have the Malygos aspect of magic, but because he did just draw the Caligos.
Yeah, that's a sick draw. If he gets polymorph here, maybe.
Right.
And maybe he has a shot.
Frost Nova to stall just a little bit, and I think he just needs to. I think that is the key. He needs to stall. The Overconfident Orc and the Solarian felt like a very weak stall, so I definitely appreciate Nalguidan's play here for the Malygos. I know that it wasn't guaranteed, and it was sort of a Hail Mary, but desperate time calls for desperate measures. He might not get a chance to play Puzzle Box the Oxron unless he can rip the Dragon Caster, the 1 out of 22 or 20. There's a bomb in the deck. But yeah, he would need to draw that.
But if he does, Dan, and he really believes Puzzle Box can do anything.
I mean, the way this game is shaping up, it might come down to it, right? He has to rip a, just for simplicity's sake, he has to rip a 1 in 20, right? Like 5% chance. it might be one of those dominant positions where Eddie is 95% to win the game. And of course, I'm rounding numbers, and there's a lot of things that could happen. But the moment Eddie shuffles a second Bombs at the deck, there's no longer the ability to play Reno, Zephyrus, or Dragon Queen Alexstrasza until you draw it. I mean, obviously you could play it, but you would lose the reason you would want to play those cards. Ooh! Oh my goodness, a full tempo play here from Eddie as he commits to the board and says, if you have, a way to AoE this down, I still have Blastmaster Boom to follow it up. Full commitment. You'd love to see it. Okay.
More stall.
Yeah, that's a very important draw for Nalguidan. And what's also important is that he keeps the board relatively full, so Blastmaster Boom can only summon 3 Boom Bots right now if played the next turn. The downside is, well, Battle Rage off the top for Eddie would be disastrous. I'm pretty sure Eddie 99% of the time would play Battle Rage with his last 2 remaining mana instead of Hero Power. I only say 99 because I don't want to say 100%. I could be wrong on a corner case scenario. That Gown would correct me on Twitter.
As he should.
As he should.
I think I don't know. He really wants to try and protect this Solarian to get a bigger Blizzard. He also wants to try and map out his turn so he gets to Puzzle Box in the safest possible way. But at this point, I don't think he can really hope for much. He just has to play each turn the best he can and try and survive until that Puzzle Box happens. But he kills off the Armorsmith, so this would be a fully loaded Blastmaster Boom if Eddie wanted it, but he also has the option of Bloodsworn Mercenary again on the egg to give his board a little bit of additional AoE protection, but he's seen Blizzard. There's no Flame Strike in the list. The Zephyrus is shut off unless a bomb is drawn. Reno is shut off unless the bomb is drawn. Still no Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and if it was there, or if he did have enough mana, again, shut off until a bomb is drawn. So I think that he can probably just play the most power possible. And the only other thing that you maybe to keep in mind is that Bloodsworn Mercenary may not be active if somehow this board gets dealt with. It may be tougher to play, but he's so close to killing him. He might as well just make as much power as he can. And is there a way for him to stay alive?
Doesn't seem like it. No matter what kind of defensive stance he takes, Deep Freeze, Overconfident Orc, Tiamat with full defense, seems like he'd be dead on board.
Yeah. If that Bloodsworn Mercenary was at 5 attack, he could Tiamat Rush Wind Fury and trade everything, trade it into Bloodsworn and then into Blastmaster Boom and clear his board so the bombs had nothing to attack into. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, and if he doesn't kill both of those, then he's dead. And
that's gonna do it.
There's nothing.
Just not enough. Eddie with the game pressure plan, just kind of playing like a tempo mid-range deck. The no hands warrior. He didn't even have to. The bombs didn't even really come into play, so to speak. The bombs never were drawn. It did summon the boom bots, which was really impactful, of course, to threaten the lethal. But at its core, Eddie just stayed in a very narrow game plan. And I think that's also a really cool thing about the deck, which is you could play it fairly linearly. You don't have to necessarily, play a very wide open, keeping your options completely, dynamic, maybe I save this Risky Escaper to combo, maybe I use it to draw cards, maybe I save Armorsmith, maybe I wait for a big swing turn. Sometimes just jamming stuff on the board, as you saw with the double rampage, is plenty.
Yeah. And with Highlander Mage, they have to have the right removal at the right time, since the deck, does lack in just, hard removal in general. They have a decent curve nowadays. Again, kind of like Highlander Hunter, they, kind of just play more minions like Astraman's and Solarian. Nalguidan even plays Khadgar. You have Overconfident Orc, Bone Wraith, Mana Saber. You scale up quite well. But if you don't have the removal right when you need it, then obviously things like that are going to happen where you get snowballed out of the game.
Sounds good. All right, well, we're going to take our next break here in this broadcast, and when we come back, we're going to have Game 2 with Eddie versus Nalguidan. Stay tuned. You're watching the Hearthstone Grandmasters America presented by T-Mobile.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
有什么奇怪的一个专长吗？没有，我看起来我人就很正常，我一点都不奇怪。
하스스톤 아닌 것 중에 잘하는 거. 잘하는 거.
제가 아는 사람들 중에는 제가 눈을 가장 오래 뜰 수 있을 것 같아요. 한번 해봐도 돼요 지금?
1, 2, 3.
아
사람들과 술자리를 즐기는 것.
ジブエが少し小さい頃から癖で吹いてたのでうまいかもしれないです。ということでちょっとハーストーンのメイン画面のテーマソングの一部をちょっと口笛吹いてみます。
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters Americas region. This is week 2, day number 2. We're currently in the middle of match number 2, about to go into game number 2, casted by your favorite 2 casters, TJ Sanders, who's having his second child.
That's right.
In a few months.
Mm-hmm. No, in 1 month.
In 1 month, hopefully. We'll see how things go. It could be
which is
we don't want to jinx anything.
Which is 2 fortnights.
2 fortnights. Oh gosh. That is correct. I believe that is within the span of a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, what is Eddie up to? He's going to be queuing up the warrior
to try and get his second win.
To try to get his win number 2. And I hope that break helped you get ready for this game, as Nalguidan's going to queue up Rogue. Now, Rogue, with the early game curve here of Praise, Galakron, and Steel Fate, usually it's very good and useful against most openings, but against Warrior, is it particularly important to have that? It feels like Warrior has so many damage things that Seal Fate has lost a lot of power, in particular against that class.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, if you look at the lineup from Eddie specifically, he does have some things that you could target early game, but, let's say he plays Injured Tolvir or Serpent Egg, which are the things that are very likely to be played in the early game just on an empty board. You don't really want to Seal Fate either of those. So, yeah, it's not the best card. And Nalguidan obviously focusing on having a consistent early game plan, which Blackjack Stunner just played onto the board can get him Praise Galakron targets. It also just contests some of the other things that Eddie can play. But I also spy with my little eye in Edwin Van Cleef, which can win just about any game that you want to play.
Yeah. Van Cleef is still really powerful no matter what kind of meta it is. There's been times where Edwin isn't really playing the most popular rogue decks, but it's still just relevant in pretty much every meta game. Even in its darkest times, Van Cleef is there. A giant beacon of 8/8.
Yeah.
Now that being said, Nalguidan drawing that secret might also low-key be one of the most powerful things about Nalguidan's early game start. If Eddie ends up going for, a tempo Warmaul Challenger, for example, which I think is ill-advised because that could be an ambush and he would get destroyed by the poisonous minion. But, he does have options of Blackjack Stunner to help maybe gain really big tempo and swing it by coining out that Van Cleef right afterwards. So Nalguidan's got a lot of options at his disposal right now, which makes me feel like this rogue's going to get off to a very quick start.
Yeah, it's possible. Now, to be fair, Nalguidan does only play a single ambush while he plays 2 dirty tricks, and 1 bamboozle. So it's, it's way more likely that it's bamboozle or dirty tricks than ambush, because 3 of the 4 secrets are not ambush. But is that a risk you are willing to take? I'd say if he didn't have anything else that was playable, sure. I would probably take that risk just because you can't really afford to not be on the board. But he does have the Anchor, which is a completely serviceable play in this scenario on turn 3. So
yeah, gets his card draw going. Anchor with its 2 attacks lets you draw 2 cards from your deck. Oh, but he draws the ambush now. Huh. Okay. Well, okay, so one thing to consider if you're Nalguidan is what is your opponent trying to set up by, playing the Anchor? Are they just drawing cards? Is it going to be a big turn? And it seems like Nalguidan, for the most part, outside of Shield of Galakron, has a reactive hand. So, see how Eddie chooses to build the board, if so. But now with 2 secrets, the chances jump from an ambush significantly. It almost feels like it's guaranteed to be ambush, even though there's still another secret, bamboozle, to account for here.
Yeah, let's just make things just really awkward.
Yeah. Went from 25% chance to being ambush because it was 1 out of 4 secrets that could have been any of them drawn to now 75%.
Yeah.
There's only 1 secret that it can't be now, which is ambush, and I feel like playing the Warmaul Challenger is super dangerous at this point. Oh, okay. I thought he was going to play the Warmaul Challenger. He looked like he almost just ripped it, and I was like, whoa. You don't want to anger the poisonous gods.
No. I wonder if Eddie's just gonna hold. He's gonna force him to do stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. It makes sense because now he can react to it. If he draws a weapon, he can attack the ambusher.
Yep.
But you know what? It does give a target for Praise Galakron and whatnot.
Yeah. So you get. This turn he could go Blackjack Stunner, Praise Galakron, coin Edwin, which would be an 8/8 Edwin. Right. And he would also have a pretty threatening board outside of that.
Oh, Lackey's even better.
That's even better, yeah.
So you can use the Blackjack Stunner to tempo.
Oh,
Oh, you're afraid that the secret will be activated.
If the secret's activated, these blackjack stunners are dead. Until he draws another secret, which he only has 2 more in the deck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that Nalguidan would have discovered another secret as well. But I understand and agree with you.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, if the secret, it's a win-win for Nalguidan, because if the secret is proc, then he gets 2 additional cards.
Right.
So
to replace his now dead 2 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Eddie doesn't have any direct removal for this Edwin Van Cleef. He can do some potential shenanigans with the Sandcat Sapper. That returns a random enemy minion to the opponent's hand, so if it hits the Edwin, except the Sapper is about to be the Sappy.
Yeah.
This is really bad for Eddie.
Well, he does have a very good risky skipper hand if he were to draw another cheap minion. Because there's a huge board on... Well, I don't want to say huge. There's a very good sized board on the other side. There's potential for 4 damaged minions with 1 risky skipper hit, which means that these Blood Boil Brutes would be 3. With the risky skipper, they'd be 2.
Ah, yes, you're right.
So all he has to do is play risky skipper, a minion, and then there are now 6 damaged minions, which means that the Blood Boil Brutes will cost 1. If he plays the second one, it'll be too expensive, but...
Yeah, and then he gets to trade. Yes, he doesn't get the Battle Rage, but, you know, you're answering the threats, and he still hasn't activated the secret. So Nalguidan doesn't get that immediate reload, but Nalguidan still has the Shield of Galakrond to play proactively. Also draws the Heist Baron Hogwoggle.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really nice, given that he gets to play the treasure, or he gets to obtain the treasure next turn. Which I'm still very sure, very positive that's going to be Wondrous Wand. I'd be very surprised if it was something else. And now Nalguidan can shut down the risky skipper, or is just going to go ahead and attack the Wormmaw Challenger. This does leave up more minions for Battle Rage.
It leaves up more minions for Battle Rage. It also adds another, or I guess the minion would be damaged anyway, but it means that now there's 3 damaged minions for Blood Boil Brute as well. This is interesting to me. Because now he can go Blood Boil Brute, Battle Rage. That'd be too many cards.
What about Blood Boil Brute, Bloodsworn Mercenary, and just overwhelm with board presence?
That's also an option. The Risky Skipper does make things awkward, however. Not awkward to the point where it would discourage you from doing a play like that. But in order for you to do that play, you'd have to leave the damaged minion up. And if you do the play, then you get rid of your Risky Skipper and don't get to maybe cash in on a little bit of extra damage.
That's true.
Also, one of the things we didn't talk about was that Eddie didn't know if that was Bamboozle.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Last turn. But it was good of him to do that anyway. Because the average power of a 6-drop is below an 8/8 anyway. So, because he attacked it into the Edwin.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, he tested for Bamboozle with the Wormmaw Challenger first, actually.
Yeah, with the 1/1.
So I guess that maybe that was a little risky. I don't know. That one's tough, actually. I'd have to go back and look at the scenario. Yeah. It's too late now to talk about it. We're well past that point.
I do like this play, though. Especially with the 4 cards he drew, but he didn't know exactly how it would pan out.
Yeah.
Just particularly that I like the Serpent Egg and the Terran Gorfiend. It actually gives Eddie a complete reload. This board gets responded to, because I don't really think it's an issue. This is not a super intimidating board just by itself. But one, you open up your plays for following turn, which is kind of what we're talking about. A lot of times when you approach this warrior deck, you really want to just keep your options as open as possible. And 2, another thing of what makes this deck really powerful is that it can create like 2 to 3 overwhelming boards and just start to overwhelm their opponent from resources just because they play 20 cards in their deck and you play 10.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so going for the 2-card Galakrond.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Even though
he
he was
backstab.
Even though he was only 1 card away from full invoke with that invoke card in hand. Seal Fades, I guess, is very difficult to use, and he may not have another chance if he falls too far behind on board to get Galakrond out, and he has Kronks in hand, so this makes sense. Just wanted to talk through it, you know?
Good talk. Good talk.
Good talk. Good chat.
Good chat. Eddie has the Blood Boil Brute this turn. Can't Bloodsworn Mercenary yet, and he draws another Risky Skipper. This is surprisingly a limited amount of options.
I mean, I don't mind just Blood Boil Brute and then
Like
even trade in.
Rampage.
I mean, even trade in the Risky Skipper and play double Serpent Egg.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You have a big minion on board, and you're protected against like Kronks. You can follow it up with Terran Gorfine if you wanted to. Like you force him to deal with the Blood Boil Brute, and if he deals with it, you still have Terran as a backup.
If he plays the second egg, he doesn't get. Oh, I think he. Hold on. Was that a slight optimization error? I don't know, actually. Did he trade into 3-1 or 3-2 Bloodsworn Mercenary? If he traded a 3-2, he could have actually squeezed out the other egg. But perhaps he didn't. No, he doesn't want to pop his egg. Plus, it also kills his other Risky Skipper. So never mind. This actually worked out perfectly fine. And you can see that like these turns are very hard, right? Like
They are very hard.
They're roping down. He floated a mana, which makes you think, could you have been more efficient? The mana keeps changing based off the state of the board, which you have to trade in, but they have to factor in Risky Skipper. So, you know, tough turns, but I think Eddie's navigating it very well here.
Yeah. Just have some weird cards stuck in hand, though, with the Socket Sapper and Blastmaster Boom with no bombs shuffled in the deck since he hasn't picked up a Wrench Caliber yet.
I mean, TJ, I'm kind of standing by what I said before, which is with each passing day, I'm starting to believe less in the Terran Gorfine. I'm just kind of awkwardly sitting there in the hand all the time.
When it's good, it's very good.
Exactly. That's like the thing. It's like when it works, it is like what this card is like insane in this thing.
Oh wow, okay. Insta-picks Tyrion.
Yeah, I think he just wants to get big bodies onto the board, and Tyrion is one of the biggest.
That is Kronks gone, however.
Yes, Kronks is gone.
And Eddie has a very powerful turn here if he wants it, which is a double trade Wrench Caliber, Serpent Egg, Terran Gorfine.
He could also Bloodsworn Mercenary, Terran Gorfine.
He could, yeah, but I feel like this Interrage Bloodsworn Mercenary might be reserved for the Corcoran Elite.
Okay, is the burst that important?
At some point in the game, it feels like it is, because it does feel like Rogue always finds a way to pick apart a board state. Maybe that's just me, relying too much on, personal experiences, but I feel like if I have a good play set up for me right all the way, I will hold on to that as much as I can. But he is going to go ahead and do the play. The Terran Gorfine Bloodsworn Mercenary.
Terran Gorfine. Love it. Also, one thing to note is that Eddie may have been considering whether or not he wants to kill this Lackey, because that's the last Lackey that Nalguidan has, unless he has to generate more. Oh. Flick Sky Shiv. But he doesn't have. Yeah, if only it was cleaner. Yeah.
Yeah. If he could kill both Terrans and then both eggs, and then could cleanly flick all of the serpents, yeah, sweet, nice play.
Yeah, this is like a spell druid board, right? Where the druid's like 4 layers of defense against flick.
All right, so what is he looking for here? There's not much big stuff left, right? He's played Kronks, he's played Galakron. I honestly don't know if the wand is fantastic, because the biggest thing he has left in his deck is a Shield of Galakron. That's the biggest thing. He's played Boom Pistol Bully, he's played Edwin, he's played Kronks, he has Flick Skyshiv in hand. There's not really anything big that he's looking for.
Yeah, this is looking like trouble for Nalguidan.
Yeah, there's 16 damage on board.
And he is not dead.
No, but
Close.
Eddie can just kind of push damage here and set up an awkward board state again, and with Rent Caliber swings, he's got Risky Skipper Blastmaster Boom for immediate damage. He can even finally play the Socket Sapper that was so brutally placed back into the hand and increased in cost so long ago.
Yep.
And he's thinking of how he could be punished. He still has not seen the legendary that was picked up from Dragon's Horde, and it was a very quick pickup. He still has not seen Flick. I'm not sure if he's particularly worried about Flick in this instance, because his board is quite resilient. There's really not much else that he should be worried about at this point. Maybe Shadow Jeweler plus Secrets, but he's seen Ambush and Dirty Tricks. So there's only 2 secrets left, so he would need both the Shadow Jeweler and a secret to be able to start going off, and he's got such a resilient board that I just don't know how much work it would end up doing.
Yeah, I love that I was saying that I wasn't sure about Terran Gorfian, and it just creates a board state like this that just seems so impossible to deal with.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like what we're talking about.
Oh, Flick Shadow Step flicked in. Oh, wait, yes!
That's a big swing, but it's still a lot of damage onto the board. It takes all of his mana.
He's dead. He's Nalguidan's still dead.
Yeah, but this was a cool play, TJ.
It was a very cool play.
This was a great play from Nalguidan, and I think that was what he was ultimately looking for with the Flick Skyshiv, trying to draw things like his Shadow Step. But yeah, it was a tough situation to say the least.
Yeah. If he didn't draw the Inner Rage, he still had Risky Skipper Blastmaster Boom, which would have been 4 bombs, and all 4 bombs would have had to hit for 1 for that not to be lethal. So, yeah.
It was very, very likely to be lethal there.
Yep.
So, game number 2 to Eddie. TJ, we might see our second sweep of the day.
Yeah.
Which would be record time for Grandmasters to have 2 series back-to-back finishes, 3 zeros.
Yeah, I think it would be. And the last deck for Nalguidan is Hunter, which Warrior is, even Highlander Hunter is one of its worst matchups, if not its worst matchup. So, and Eddie, unlike Bloodyface from earlier, has a little bit more tempo in the early game, so he's not going to fall quite as far behind. He's got like Serpent Egg and his injured Tolvir to just play on board. So he's not as susceptible to get just blown out by a solid curve. So this one's looking pretty bad. I mean, obviously, Nalguidan queued up the deck that he thought had a better chance against Warrior in that game too. He thought that his Rogue would have a better chance, and he lost. So we've mentioned this for Last Hero Standing over the past couple days, is if you lose a deck that you specifically chose to beat a deck, then you're in a bad spot, because that means your next choice is probably worse.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, we'll see if the Hunter can keep up that performance that we saw out of PNC, but it might take a miraculous set of events, or perhaps we're just going to once again underestimate the Hunter, and Hunter might do the same thing it did to Bloodyface, which is dumpster the opponent and 3-0 very quickly. Which, I've come to appreciate Hunter after, watching a lot of Demon Hunters go at it. now all of a sudden doesn't fit, you know, because in the past it used to be Hunter that was the class that was so aggressive that people would make lots of community memes about with you know, how much damage it can put out to end games. But now that Demon Hunter has kind of taken the role of the most aggressive deck, it almost feels like you know, we turn to Hunter to be the hero, which is always one of my favorite things, is when a meta game that people use Hunter to be the off meta aggressive deck.
I need a hero, Dan.
I mean, he even wears a mask. Rexar is the hero that we don't deserve, but we need.
Doesn't Illidan wear a mask too?
Yes, but he's the villain very
Victory for the
clearly.
Forsaken.
As it was foretold by every WoW expansion, basically, except for like one.
Well, Rexar is a villain for 40 to 50% of the World of Warcraft population.
Yeah, I'll take those odds compared to the Demon Hunters right now.
He's roaming out there in Feralas, killing unsuspecting victims.
With his animal companions.
Yep.
You know, I was a little bit sad. I know that Misha is pretty iconic to Rexar, but I was pretty sad that Huffer wasn't the animal companion of choice for Heroes of the Storm and Rexar.
Well, Misha's just his animal companion in World of Warcraft,
right?
too.
But still, TJ. Because of my Hearthstone background, I was sad that Huffer was not the animal companion.
I mean, what about Leok, Dan? Why doesn't Leok get some love?
I mean, Leok is just happy to still be invited to the family reunions, okay? The fact that we even have a play setting for Leok still, when all these other great beasts have arrived, is, you know, still justification to show that we still care. But, you know, Leok is a superstar. He's not causing trouble. Leok's solid. He's a solid animal companion. And that's that.
Fine. Whatever, man.
The merchant hits the board just to present a little bit of board presence for Nalguidan. It's the injured Tolvirs coming out on turn 2. Nalguidan with his Scavenger's Ingenuity. What can it hit?
A good amount of stuff. Actually, no, not a good amount of stuff. It has the
It's got Henchclan
Zixor,
Hogsteed.
Henchclan Hogsteed, Diving Griffin, Zixor, Escape Mana Saber, and that's it.
And that's it. You're right.
I have no time for games.
It's a lot more dragons than beasts.
Right. It's like, that's why it's not really appropriate to call it a specific tribe anymore. It's not really a dragon Highlander Hunter. It's not really a beast Highlander Hunter. It's more of a minion Highlander Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, there aren't that many spells, actually.
Yeah, Highlander Hunter tends to try and pressure.
Six spells. Damn. That's not many spells. You had that many spells just with the secret package in the past.
I mean, there's ways to generate spells. But
Yeah, like Zephyrus
yeah.
and Zephyrus.
Well, I mean, so
Yeah, only Zephyrus.
there's some shenanigans that can happen. Primordial Explorer or Dragon Queen Alexstrasza can give you stuff that gives you other stuff. We've seen like Cobalt Spellkin and other things like that. But yeah, like the idea is that Highlander Hunter doesn't really have a lot of spells. It tries to leverage minions and weapons. And when I say weapons, I mean just the Storm Hammer for the most part. The Desert Spear is mainly just as a board control tool. Speaking of board control, lots of options being presented for Nalguidan. He had 2 powerful legendary dragons in Onyxia and Alexstrasza. Chooses the Twin Tyrant instead. A little bit quicker, but also dealing 4 damage to 2 enemy minions. I mean, that sounds good too.
Mwah. Delicious. That's a delicious Terran Gorefiend. Just beautiful.
Yeah, except for this Henchclad Hogsteed, which is picking up a nice
You know,
value trade.
Outside of that, it would have been beautiful. it's still good.
Yeah, still totally solid, and it
Yeah.
took resources that Nalguidan would have otherwise loved to probably target other things with.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity for the Warmaw Challenger
Yeah.
to flex.
Warmaw Challenger down the Hench Clan Hogsteed. All it takes is one hit.
Yeah, the no attack is great, so that way his Armor Smith doesn't die to just what's on board. However, might lose out on that Armor Smith anyways if this Rotnesh Drake comes down with the hammer. Nope. Looks like it's going to puke instead onto the Warmaw Challenger.
Nice.
Looking for Anchor. Finds it. Wow. Massive draw here for Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
And he's
Especially since he
damaged.
hasn't even drawn any pirates yet, right? So this is a full value anchor and picks up Risky Skipper. So now Eddie can start to, you know, better craft a game plan.
Is upon us.
Though, Nalguidan's coming up on the Dino Tamer Bran, which the King Crush is actually quite difficult to deal with.
Right. Without Blood Bow
For
Brute,
Warrior.
you
Yeah.
can't really deal with it easily.
Yeah, Warmaw Challenger only attacks it twice.
None survive.
That's how you know it's good.
That can't be right. There's no minion that Warmaw Challenger can't kill. Warmaw Challenger is infallible.
If only. Alright, so got a Serpent Egg. If he picks up like Sky Raider here, he go for Battle Rage this turn. Nope, second Risky Skipper. But Korkorn Elite also solid value trades over this Zixor, so Dino Tamer Bran will have a little bit of a tougher time because it'll automatically be sort of reduced down.
Yeah, now all of a sudden, Dino Tamer Brandon seems a lot weaker if there's a 4-1 Korkorn Elite challenging half the health of King Crush. And he knows that those
Vengeance is near.
pirates are in hand.
Yeah, so he knows that there's going to be guaranteed one Risky Skipper because even if Eddie's... yeah, well, he's guaranteed to have both because Eddie only plays the 3 pirates.
Let
Actually, wait, Eddie plays a Cobalt Sticky Finger, so he plays 4, but he only plays 1 Sky Raider. But it does mean that he's guaranteed to have at least 1, because even if with 3 swings, if he pulled both Cobalt Sticky Finger and Sky Raider, he'd have 1 Risky Skipper. So
Right.
looks like he's going to deviate slightly, just try and have a better overall board position. Whoa! Zixor picked up right away.
Zixor, yeah. Well, I mean, the Diving Griffin doesn't have that many rush minions to pull, so that's part of what makes it very effective.
Yeah, actually.
What other rush minions are there?
Was that the
DJ?
last one?
I mean, there's Hench Clan Hogsteed.
He played it.
Another rush minion is Diving Griffin itself,
Played it.
and then Zixor.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, so it was guaranteed to draw that,
Yeah.
unless I'm mistaken, and there's
No,
another rush
you're-
minion.
You're right. There are no other rush minions.
So if Eddie knows that, he's already seen his Hogsteed, he should know that Zixor Prime is coming. That being said, Zixor Prime...
I'll show you who's boss.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Here we go. Big Battle Rage. I was going to say, Zixor Prime, is it the impactful card in this matchup? And I would argue it's not. But it's still a lot of stats on the board.
I mean, it cleans up this board very nicely.
True.
Not very nicely. 1 minion would be left up.
The Warmaw Challenger.
Vengeance is near.
Yeah, I honestly don't really see a better line. Down
It's
Team of
very
Brandon.
clean on curve, and you need to take down these damage minions.
Yep. So I like Eddie's play last turn for going with that Battle Rage, because knowing that Zixer Prime is there means that he wants to get value out of this board before he knows it will inevitably die.
Right.
So he gets value out of the board by drawing cards from it, and now has additional mana to work on taking these beasts down now that he's seen it.
Serpent Egg awakens from its slumber.
Oh,
Alas, it is the very awkward no Blood Boil Brute hand. If he had a Blood Boil Brute, would be very cheap. Be 2 mana.
What now?
Let's think. So a Wrench Caliber can clean up 1. Rampage can clean up another. But that's not really like long-term and effective game plan, right? Because you're at 18 life and you're staring at 16.
yeah.
What now?
This actually doesn't look great.
I think that Eddie is in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, he could go for like Risky Skipper, Skyvateer, Cobalt Sticky Fingers, and then Inner Rage 1 down and attack 1 into the attack the Warmaw Challenger in. There's still leave 2 4-1s on board, which
Who in their right mind hides food? Taste it now.
and he's dead.
Yep.
Exactly
we do have
18.
the Down Tamer Brand. Tamer Brand summons the King Crush. Deals 8 damage. Hero Power deals an extra 2. And the Highlander Hunter today, 4 and 0. Wow. Crushing its matchups that we thought might be poor. And perhaps the prophecy will come true. Will Highlander Hunter lose a game?
Is it like
Ever.
yesterday's Druid?
Yeah, that's right. Where it just kept, every single opportunity it got a chance to shine, it shined brightly.
Language Hacker went 2-0 yesterday, and only won with Druid.
That's right. All of his wins were Druid, I believe.
Yeah. So
Because he got 3-0'd and then just had to rely on Druid for reverse sweep, right?
Yep. And then he 3-0'd the first one. So Eddie now has the Priest and Spell Druid left. So if he loses with his Spell Druid, which I imagine is going to be the queue, he's in trouble.
That could be bad. But Spell Druid is one of the poor matchups. Now that I look at this matchup chart.
There's no poor matchups for Highlander Hunter, Dan. We've settled it. It just beats everything. It's like the Murloc Paladin.
For the Forsaken.
Well, he's going to just throw a Priest out right now.
Interesting. Priest has pretty poor win rates against the Highlander Hunter, so it could just be a setup queue.
It is a
Just as
different
a-
Priest, though, than we saw from Bloodyface in Series 1. It's the Resurrect Priest, so has a lot more, like, raw healing and ability to find additional removal with Renew.
Yeah.
Double
Resurrect
Shadow Word
Priest
Death.
Seems to do
taunts.
better against Hunter than the other Priest decks.
And this is the Highlander Hunter curve that I have come to expect more often. Which is the hero power on turn 2. But this is one of the matchups where I think that it could work out okay in the end. Because of the fact that Priest doesn't really do anything for the first couple turns. And neither is Nalguidan. He's just going to go ahead and equip a Stormhammer and just let it fly. Rough part for Eddie is that if Maiev Shadow Song doesn't, or if he plays a minion on 4, then Maiev Shadow Song could just delay the resurrect for quite a while. This is the weakness of the Priest deck. Just not much to do proactively. Nothing in the res pool for Psychopomp. Not a great Penance target. Not a great Breath of the Infinite board. Massive Spell to cycle.
I wonder.
Priest just doesn't seem like it has much going for it right now. Looking at the data, Priest has just really struggled against Hunter overall. And a little bit of that is the Dragon Hunter mixed in. But Dragon Hunter seems like it's beating it as well. So we shall see if that's going to be the case again moving forward.
Victory is in my grasp.
Not really any Zephyrus options either, and Henchland and Hogsty is super weak on the board. Every other Hunter start we've seen thus far has had just minions up the curve, and this one just seems just slightly weaker, but he is chipping away, and this is making Eddie's hand even more awkward because he just doesn't have plays either. Maybe a little bit more of an incentive to use Breath of the Infinite, but finally Convincing Infiltrator picked up, which is actually a minion. There's an injured Tolvir. Bet he wishes he had that on turn 1 or turn 2 to be able to play to match up against this Og Merchant.
Victory is
Huh.
in my grasp.
Surprised he's not going for Maiev here, but that could be a good tool to kind of push through for lethal later on, and maybe he's thinking that he doesn't want to find himself in an awkward position in a couple turns where he has a bigger board and has to find a way to deal with the Convincing Infiltrator at a later time. But this will allow Eddie to go with Psychopomp for Convincing Infiltrator. The Reborn effect will make sure that Nalguidan doesn't really have great development options going into this turn. And maybe that's what Nalguidan was expecting, and he's going to go with Maiev going into this turn. We're even coming up on an opportunity for Nalguidan to swing things. He has Zephyrus, and if he can wait a couple more mana, or even just next turn, he could go like coin Zephyrus with 6 mana remaining, and go for a Cabal Shadow Priest to steal the Convincing Infiltrator. But this is even better. Attack and go for Shadow Madness. Shadow Madness now down to 3 mana. He'll be able to get the Reborn effect on his side of the board and completely swing this back. I hadn't even thought of that.
Fellow humans.
But Nalguidan did. As people may have noticed, or may not, because I was just so fluidly driving analysis.
And the
Didn't let this go
play-by-play. And the style, DJ. Love the black shirt with the pink flamingos. Truly the triple threat.
Pink is a good color.
Is an
Well, the Breath of
excellent
the
color.
Infinite here seems decent, but it still doesn't deal with the entire board.
Hey, hold on, DJ. You're doing such a good
What?
job with play-by-play commentary. Let me handle the announcer. Breath of the Infinite on this board looks kind of decent here.
Why so, Dan?
Well, it clears off some of the minions, but not all of them.
Wow, great points. Great points all around.
All right. Well, Dino Tamer Brand off the top. Oh, goodness gracious. Eddie, not happy to see that. That is going to be quick 8 damage to the face. And Eddie's going to have to search for a removal spell from the Renew. Finds Lazul Scheme, maybe? That's not really something that he can do right now. that has high impact. Wait, another renew. Another renew.
He can just heal all the way back up. Probably better to play a Cartoon Defender in this instance.
Yeah.
Just to get it in the way and reduce some damage on board because he's coming up on his 9 mana plays. So
Right.
but this is where the Maiev Shadow Song comes in. I feel.
Oh gosh, yeah. The Shadow Song is powerful, and then the Grand Slam. Oh yeah, you're talking
17
about.
damage.
Yeah, he doesn't have him dead yet, but it is close.
I think you go for it. You put him to 2 because if you Plague of Deaths, you kill him.
Oh right. Yes. Well, I mean, you always kill them with the Grand Slam and Plague of Death.
Let none survive.
Well, he would have to coin here.
Right, but the Plague of Death means that he's dead to a hero power.
Yes.
But he could have saved the coin for the Grand Slam as well.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
Eddie
well-
is in trouble.
Holy Nova. So. Oh, jeez. I just don't even know.
It's got to be a renew to start things off, right?
Yeah. But it's just too awkward, I think. He needs to heal like all the way back up. Holy Nova, Holy Ripple.
Can he...
Is 3, 4, 5 healing, and it would take off 5 power. It's not enough. Not enough.
This doesn't seem good enough here. I haven't really played Psyche Split very much. I don't think it works in the way that you want it to. It's gonna
Well,
go
I
ahead
mean,
and
it does work. I mean, you can Psychic Split your opponent's minion and you get the copy.
right. Well, I'm saying like it doesn't work very well in this situation.
Yeah, he could do it on the King Crush and get a VT over the King Crush, but
5
realizing-
games in a
Yeah.
row, TJ. Highlander Hunter, Dino Tamer Brand just finding his way into all of these hands as Nalguidan's going to take a quick step outside after those exhilarating games. Apologies, as once more, I am Retro Frodan, 8-bit graphics. It's not your internet at home, it's totally mine.
am I retro too? No, I'm not. That'd be
Not
a
yet.
weird- Not yet.
TJ.
It'll hit me soon enough. It happened to me before the broadcast today, so
I feel like I'm one of those throwback games that's kind of been put into a 3D world, like a 2D character model.
Mhm.
And I just feel like I don't really belong here on broadcast, TJ.
at least the sound is good. At least
Right.
from my perspective.
Ultimately,
So-
that's what's important.
So it was the just best, the 80s best sound engineers for that video game. If all they had to work with was a 8-bit graphics, but they had the
Right.
quality sound. But Eddie's last deck, Spell Druid. So the final matchup for this match is going to be Spell Druid versus the Highlander Hunter. Highlander Hunter 5-0 now on the day for PNC and Nalguidan combined. Can it go 6-0? Can it be the only deck? Well, I guess not the only deck that's won, but can it be the only deck that hasn't lost? We shall see.
Victory for the Forsaken.
I see a Dino Tamer Bran.
Yep, Dino Tamer Brand, but Nalguidan mulligans it away and says, "Come back to me in 6 turns or so."
Yeah. Well, I feel like you just want an early curve in this matchup. You want to try and kill them before they can get a board going.
I would say that every matchup you want an early game curve with this deck.
Well, you do want an early game curve, but you're not as reliant. Like that last game, Nalguidan passed until essentially turn 4. Well, he played a 1-drop and then passed until turn 4 essentially, and still won. So like that matchup, you can afford to be slower and keep Dino Tamer Brand if you have the option. Same like against Mage, because you know that you're going to be, the game's going to go that long to play it. But this particular matchup, I feel like you just have to hard mull for some early stuff and get the ball rolling.
Well, he does find the Hedge Clan Hogsty, but he's also picked up some more mid-rangey minions, so it's going to be a little bit awkward for a while here. Eddie, in the meantime, trying to find a way to stop the Hunter from taking over. Fungal Fortunes. Waldo doesn't discard a really key minion. Again, unlikely, but not impossible. Then he will be cooking. Nalguidan finds the Blazing Battle Mage.
Job's done.
Better than nothing, I guess, but starting from turn 4 is when this deck will start to really hit its stride, and Eddie doesn't have the ramp. So definitely an annoying thing for Eddie to have to deal with here.
Yeah, doesn't have the ramp, but he's not under too much heat at the moment. But that's going to pick up quite fast.
Right.
Essentially using this Rising Winds as a heal 2. Nope, never mind. Nalguidan's not going to buy that.
As a deal 1.
There it is.
Yes. That's
The
a
Glowfly
big
Swarm.
pickup. That's a huge pickup here. And this is looking bad here for Nalguidan. He's going to have to find a way to answer this Glowfly Swarm, and sees that that's what's picked up off the top. Zixor can help clean up some of this.
Yeah, he can Zixor and Og Merchant.
I
But
guess he has the extra mana crystal, so he could go for this big old whelp.
yeah. Well, Eddie was just hoping that there was no... Oh, Zephyrus. Because if he could have attacked with the Mana Saber, had 6 mana. And then Zephyrus Holy Nova. Oof.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Yeah. But unfortunately, no Zephyrus for Nalguidan. That means Eddie now can beef up this board of Glowflies and kind of put it out of reach of anything that Nalguidan could be able to do. And you can tell just by Nalguidan's expression that he knows, after seeing that many spells drawn, no ramp, he knows that there's very likely a lot of support for this Glowfly Swarm. And there's a decent amount of support. The problem is he just doesn't have, a good amount of mana to do it. He can either Soul of the Forest or Power of the Wild plus something else, like plus a Rising Winds. I'm trying to figure out, I think, what matches up best. If he plays Soul of the Forest, he could just full trade down over the 2 minions. But then he's still he's vulnerable to a Zephyrus off the top. He's trying to figure out the best way to protect his board. He could go Power of the Wild Bog Beam and just push damage, leave up the 5/5.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, I was really weighing whether or not it felt like Soul of the Forest was worth this turn, and I just like this better because you get to push damage.
I also like it better. Soul of the Forest, I think, would have been just too vulnerable to... it wouldn't push as much damage, it'd just be more vulnerable to Holy Nova, like Zephyrus plus something. Right? Zephyrus on this board would do what? What would Zephyrus give you on 6 mana?
Lightning Storm? Oh, for 4 mana, Shadow Flame.
Oh, okay. So this is still vulnerable to Zephyrus, but he knew that he didn't have it from last turn, I guess.
Right.
But trade a Zixor into a 3/3 or 3/1. Not the best turn.
And perhaps... Oh, wow. Kael'thas comes into the hand.
Oh, geez.
Oh, and he has Bog Beam and Iron Bark. Okay, this... I think this might be too much to come back from. This Rising Winds can just keep the board strong here. And Eddie has Soul of the Forest. Eddie thinking about if he wants to take a trade. If he does end up doing the trade, he does miss a little bit of damage here, and it's most likely Nalguidan's going to trade for him. I don't think Nalguidan can kill him from this spot. Diamond Timber Brand would do a lot of damage, but it won't kill him.
I still think you just make the trades to be safe. Your next couple turns are going to be so strong, you can tell that Nalguidan's struggling to make much of a...
A natural mistake.
What's
So Eddie trusts Nalguidan enough to know that he made a mistake, but doesn't know what his mistake is. I don't either.
I don't see it at first glance, which makes me think it might be more of a hidden thing, or perhaps Nalguidan is reacting to the fact that he drew Sixer Prime right afterwards. Oh, was it supposed to be like he's supposed to Soul of the Forest first, trade, and then Power of the Wild, so that he has an extra 3/3 on board?
He didn't power the wild.
Oh, that was the
turn.
previous turn.
Yeah,
Right.
he Rising Winds for an Eagle and then Soul of the Forested.
Right. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
I think it was Nalguidan just purely reacting to his Sixer, but needs that Rush and Wind Fury to help clean up a lot of this board here. I could also internally just play Taunt and Divine Shield. And Eddie is ready to go.
Ooh, another Bog Beam.
Yep. This Bog Beam is going to be extremely powerful. Going to start off with this Iron Bark, and then the Overflow. This is backbreaking. Too much to come back from, it looks like.
Yeah. I like the sequencing too. Take off the Divine Shield with the Bog Beam, get full value from the healing, and now he can just go Bog Beam again. Gets the free Gift of the Wild, and yeah, that'll do it. Zephyr's Brawl, even on this board, just feels like it wouldn't be enough. He's pushing 16 damage. Even if Brawl has the perfect outcome, it would still leave 6 damage on board plus a hero power, and that'd be the best outcome that he could possibly hope for. And Hunter finally loses.
Right, but then it continues the other story we were talking about. Druid on a rampage this week and not really dropping many games at all in the America's group play bracket. So with this, Eddie will now advance to play PNC, who got a very quick sweep, and then Nalguidan will play Bloody Face.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were talking about before, the Highlander Hunter performed well against Bloody Face's lineup, but Bloody Face had taken the wins against these kinds of lineups during the Swiss portion.
Yeah.
So I guess time will tell to see what ends up happening, and whether or not Bloody Face or Nalguidan gets a chance at redemption.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, that was the exact same result as what happened in the Swiss. Eddie won 3-2 over Nalguidan, so that did not change much. I believe the only player that Bloody Face lost to was in round 1, I think, of the Swiss.
Yes, Bloody Face lost to Zalay in the
yeah.
very beginning, then played ETC, Empezado, Saiyan, Language Hacker, PNC, and then finally Zalay again.
Yeah.
By then, Zalay had already locked in his #1 seed.
Yep.
So with that, we are going to reach another intermission, and we'll try to figure out everything as we get ready for match number 3. So when we return, we are going to have the winners match of Group B, PNC versus Eddie. Stay tuned.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.